guys, Zueljin here. Welcome to Lost Relics. I seem to be stuck in a dungeon. I don't know really how I'm gonna get out there. Seems to be some really bad guys on the side of this door, so we're gonna have to take it real slow. If you're not familiar with this game, it's a really cool blockchain game that I've been playing, and I recently ended up dying, and I wanted to kind of show you how difficult this game was and some strategies that I used to get out of it. So the first thing I want to do actually is change over to my bow and arrow. You start off the game with a sword, a rusty sword, and a bard's bow, which is very I guess you could say low power. And as soon as I open these doors, these guys are gonna rush me. So I might be able to get one shot off with my bow, like this. Oh, two of them, good. And now I'm just gonna use my sword to kill him. Alright, so I took quite a bit of damage there, from 3,000 health to 2,830. Not exactly the best fight in the world, but we'll go from there. So you can rotate the map with your keys, and it kind of allows you to see a little bit further in and kind of go. Also on the map, you'll see when there's some bad guys ahead of you too. You'll see them pop up as X's. You see those little X's right there? Let me go ahead and switch to this. I kind of set my keys up to where they'd be more Diablo-esque. And you can really switch real quick if you want to. I'm using the W key, but I believe it's by default it's Q. It was just a little bit different than I was used to. As you can see, the bow is very effective by keeping things away from you. It doesn't really have a whole lot of knockback, but it is possible to get a little bit. Now you have two different kinds of attacks here. You have a left click and a right click. And the right click is a power attack that ends up taking your mana or your stamina or your energy. I'm not really sure what it's called. But when that depletes, it actually regenerates up into a minimal value, which means you can continue to use your power. You don't necessarily need a potion. Health does not refill at all unless you get a potion. I don't think it refills even in your last 150. It's pretty darn hardcore, to tell you the truth. So the crazy thing about this game is that anytime you lose or die in a dungeon and you don't get out successfully, you basically lose all progress. That's right. You lose everything that you have in that dungeon and everything that you brought in that was not a starter item. Meaning that if you've gotten enough gold, which you can see at the top right corner of the screen, if you've gotten enough gold to buy something like an upgraded sword or a bow, for instance, or a potion, and you come into a dungeon and you die within the dungeon, you lose all of those items. They stay in there. There's no corpse recovery. It really sucks. There's an item right there. It's skull silk. Basically a crafting component that we'll be able to use for different things. If that's in my hotbar now, and if I were to lose this run, I would lose that as well. So you lose everything, including the items that you've collected. You do not, however, lose your gold. Oh, and did I get stuck in the fire? No, I sure did. So there's fire traps all over this dungeon, and the dungeon layout, as you'll soon see, is similar. Like every time you go onto this particular map, you'll see that it's randomly generated, but it's the same theme, right? You'll see this room a lot, for instance, but you never really know the way around this map. Is basically what happens. You kind of just got to figure it out as you go, but you know what to expect. Like if I go into this room, there's a certain variety of monsters that are bound to show up, or resources which we haven't run across yet. Oh, I didn't even see that guy, man. I'm not really conservative with my mana points or whatever. If I can avoid damage with my bow and use a power attack, I usually do. If I don't have to, like if I could just step back and do some single shots that don't use mana, I don't. Now, once my total mana gets below 150 or whatever, I just let it regenerate before I go to other rooms to make it easier. Like that was a little too close for comfort there, so I just used some power attacks. I would rather not take damage if I didn't have to. So we got some rune hide there, which is also a common, I guess you could say, crafting component. So I'm making my way a little bit further into the dungeon here, and let me take care of these guys. There we go. What you'll notice too is that my energy now is refilling. So my energy will stop at 250. At first I thought it was 150, but it's actually 250. And once it stops there, it just won't regenerate anymore. If I use another power attack, it goes down by about 45 points, but will quickly regenerate after that. So very, very easy to go from room to room here doing this to make sure that you don't lose a whole bunch of opportunity to kill. Now I know there's going to be some bad guys on... There are a lot of bad guys in this room, actually. There we go. We can get the jump on him so he doesn't get too many attacks on us. Now, as you progress further, there are different dungeons, naturally, and they become much, much, much harder. The different variety of monsters as well as the health that they have and the damage they do. All of the above, to tell you the truth. They get really, really hard. The bow is by far the first investment that I would make if you don't get one from your reward quest or you end up dying, like I did. So these are scattered throughout the map. They're basically resource nodes, and every different I guess dungeon or adventure has the variety of resources that you can get from them. For instance, there's no trees in here, but wood's a crafting component. So in order to get wood, you'll need to go to places that have wood. And I'll show you that once I get out this dungeon. But I'm going to make it a little bit further down while trying to avoid these traps. And we'll see if we can get out of this sucker and take home some goodies. Yeah. That sucked. I didn't realize there was a fire trap right there, and fire does a significant amount of damage to you. The crazy thing about this game is even going back down paths once you've killed monsters can be dangerous. It's the traps that you got to deal with over and over again, and most of the time I take more damage from fire than I do enemies in the first part here. I like to go into these rooms and crash everything that I can, just to make sure that I'm not leaving any potential. I timed it wrong there. Look, you see, I took 150 damage from that trap. And that one. My gosh. When you're dealing with 3,000 health, it's... Oh my god! I'm screwing up so bad. Alright, so I have 1,500 health left. It's not the best position to be in, believe me. Most of the time, the rooms, if you plan them right, you can avoid a lot of damage. I'm kind of going through a little bit fast here, but as you can see, there's a chest. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kill all these guys because, as you know, in any game, when you're trying your best to avoid damage and you start opening a chest or a door or something, that's when things decide to kill you. This is the end of the dungeon, by the way, so I could go a little faster than this here. Oh, what is that? So, one of the crazy things about this game is the fact that you can get blockchain items, okay? Now, that, I don't know if that's a blockchain item. It's a legendary item, though. I need to look these up. So, what blockchain items are essentially games that are worth real-world cryptocurrency, okay? That's one of the things that attracted me about playing this game because I started getting into crypto. So, for instance, this is gold. This is an in-game currency that you get that you can use to buy stuff within the game. These are also in-game items that you can get, but there are blockchain items that are sold on the real world market that you can actually get in this game and trade with other players for currency. It actually goes on the Enjin token, which is well, right now it's trading for about $3 per, and I'll show you some things. So I'm not completely 100% done with this dungeon. I could go back and get some more. I don't have any tools to mine the resource nodes right now, so I'm just gonna exit, but we'll show the stats kind of at the end. So I got some experience, I got some gold, and I'm taking out these coins, okay? So we're out, and now we end up back outside. Now, every day that you do a dungeon, you get to claim a reward, and the reward structure is as follows. You get piles of gold, bags of resources, bounty tokens, which I haven't been able to use yet, some different weapons that are kind of temporary, I suppose. So let's go ahead and claim the reward, and we'll get the gold. Even though the animation shows it falling on the ground, it really doesn't fall on the ground. I'm gonna have to search this Easter egg because that's actually a one of the items that you could get for the Easter event that's going on right now, because we just finished with Easter. The game had a significant amount of downtime due to the Easter update, and it's kind of new to me. I didn't research it that much before I started playing today, but I've been dying to show you guys, and the game's been down. So what you can do to avoid losing things and attempting another dungeon, as you can see, my health is full again and stuff, so you don't have to worry about sleeping at the inn. But if you do go to the tavern, or where you start off at, and kind of where you get your initial quest, you have your own storage in your little room, and you can place all of these items into where you don't have to worry about losing them. Now, I have a bow that I bought before I started the adventure that I wanted to show you. So I'm gonna go ahead and move this to inventory, and you can only swap out weapons when you're in the tavern, so you can't swap weapons out in the dungeon, which is kind of crazy. But so you can swap tools out if you have a certain level, and that's what I was about to get into. Level itself doesn't determine how many hit points you have or how much energy you have. It actually just shows you what some of the minimum requirements are that you could get. So another thing that I want to show you is the crafting. I'm going to take out some iron ore that I got from mining some of those rocks with a pickaxe that I bought. And I'm gonna take my iron ore out, some coal, and I think that's all I need, besides maybe some sticks. Let's actually take a bundle of sticks, with a couple bundles of sticks, and we're going to craft up some a tool. You can actually craft healing items too, like you could bake bread and stuff. Relatively easy, just by gathering water and flour and actually going to an oven in town. But let me take you to the general store real quick, and we'll do some shopping. So going into the general store, you'll see that there's a few items that you can get that are quite expensive based on the amount of money that you saw me getting out of that dungeon with. I've been wanting a feeble ring of rejuvenation. These help tremendously. They kind of heal you for, I think it's 700 hit points altogether. You can get some different items here. This is the ceramic jugs that you can fill water with, some bottles that you can make potions with, and a few weapons that you can get. Now, I bought the guard's bow already. There's the guard's katana, which is also a very, very good weapon, but I try to mitigate damage, so I'll always buy the guard's bow first. Let's go into items here, and I'm gonna buy this coin, this ring, and now I'm only gonna be left with 99 gold here, but it's gonna be worth it. Okay, so that item went into my storage, so I'll have to go in there to equip it again. Let's go and do that. Pull up my map here and kind of remember. When you turn it around the map, it's easy to get lost. Well, for me at least, I get lost all the time. So let's go put that ring on, because it doesn't just pop straight into our inventory. Again, if I die in the maze or on an adventure, that is going to go. But so the uncommon ring, the feeble ring of rejuvenation, will regenerate +2 health every second up to 700 health. So there's a little percent meter on it, and once it's done, it just stops. So it'll regenerate you throughout the adventure. But 700 health isn't that much when you consider like one fire trap is actually 150 damage. So it'll mitigate, it'll basically heal you for about 5 fire traps worth, to tell you the truth, which is not that much. Let's go through one more thing here. We're gonna run over to this. They call it an engineering bench, which it's just an anvil, right? And here are some of the things that you can make. When you start getting higher levels, naturally, you can use some of the bigger items. This durable steel pickaxe, for instance, you can get from making a common pine log and a steel ingot. Now, this is steel, which we don't have. I do have iron, though, and I could also make a battered hatchet, crude pickaxe, or I could smelt down iron ingots. So right now I have 3 coal, and I have plenty of these. Plenty of the iron chunks, so I'm gonna make a few, and you get some crafting experience for doing this every time, and naturally you get better at what you do, and you can do more. So we're gonna make a little bit of we're gonna make a crude pickaxe here. It requires 1 stick and 1 iron ingot. It's pretty easy to make, but you have to have a tool first before you start farming the resources to actually get these. So the tool can go straight into the tool slot. And now when we go into the mines, we can actually, well, when we go on an adventure, we can actually harvest those rocks to get more of the resources that we just used to create other tools. Last but not least, I'm going to show you the shop that you can actually get the NFT items or the blockchain items. And the blockchain items basically are the real world market items that are traded for Enjin, but you can also trade them for in-game currency. They sell them here. So there's a couple of areas that are not open to me yet. That was one of them. This is the stove that I told you about, that you could get the water and the flour and cook bread. Bread, I think, regenerates like 100 health or 50 health or something like that. It's not real powerful. But here's the Royal Emporium. The game kind of gives you a tutorial and takes you through all these, but there's a number of different things that you'll see on this, and you'll see the way the trades are going and stuff, and the markets. But you'll see that the market price for something called a power pendant, which kind of helps you level up and stuff, or is 8,441 gold. Takes a good while to gather that much gold in the game, or you could just buy this though. You could just buy it outright if you wanted to off the market and get it. Baked bread, as you can see, there's a market. You can sell those for 8 gold a piece. Probably not a whole bunch of them. As you can see, there's a lot of volume that is traded though. So if we wanted a pickaxe, for instance, we could just go to tools here, and you can see there's crude pickaxes available for 53 gold. You have a starting balance of gold, so you can easily come through here and grab it. And I made about 50 gold that adventure, so I could have probably bought my first pickaxe if you needed to. Remember that durable steel pickaxe that we needed the steel ingots for? Heck man, that one's 5808 gold. That takes quite a little while. So as you go through, there's plenty of opportunity to for scalability, so to speak. But the thought that these NFT items can drop in the game, these blockchain items, and you can sell them for real world currency is really an old school thing. I used to play Ultima Online, and it was actually a black market for a lot of the in-game items. And now with blockchain tech, pretty much NFTs are becoming the new thing. Blockchain items in games give you so much more flexibility. So going into the choose your adventure destination, there's a bunch of different places. The place that we went is the Forgotten Chambers, and you can see these are all of the different things that you can get in it, right? All of these are different crafting components, some of them with different rarities, and when you move into other places, you can see that list grows. So does the difficulty though. So if I wanted to get rubies, for instance, red core rubies, I could not get those in the Forgotten Chamber. They would never drop from any of the resources or drops that I can get, right? If I go into the ash woods, you'll see that there's the sticks and the logs, some of the crafting components that I needed to go through to get to that second tier pickaxe or whatever. And there's also some skills that you can look at and stuff. The amount of fishing that you could do in some zones, the mining, all of these things that you start getting levels up into, and it allows you to use better and better tools to get more experience and be able to do stuff. And naturally the daily rewards that we already looked at. And this is a little bit of the skills that you can do with fishing and stuff. So for instance, I'm level 1 right now. That's the minimum level that I could use. I'm actually level 2 in fishing, but I haven't done enough to be able to do stuff to get raw wild sea bass, for instance. But I could go back to the Royal Emporium and do that. Same thing with wood cutting. You know, if I wanted to use that polished axe, or to break it down, if I wanted to use that durable steel pickaxe, I would need to be level 10, and that's where experience comes in, which I'm almost there. And I could buy one of those on the blockchain for Enjin coin, or I could pay gold for it if I saved up enough in the game. So really cool game, guys. It's free to play if you want to check it out. It doesn't cost any engine to get started or anything. You could just play and start collecting items and earning if you want. It's play to earn, I think, is what the actual model's called in blockchain terms. But I thought I'd show it to y'all because I'm having a lot of fun with the game, and it's just got this real world, like this difficulty knowing that you could potentially get out with some really, really valuable items, but you risk items that are very, very hard to reobtain every run that you go on, makes it just a nice little thrill and something that I've been enjoying just to do daily runs, if nothing else. I hope you liked this little presentation of Lost Relics, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks so much for watching. As always, this is Zueljin signing off. We'll see you next time.